So here's how I added DLC to my Unreal Engine 5 project. To start off, there is some setup. You need to enable use pack file and generate chunks in the project settings under project packaging. And then the other thing you need to know is that we're going to be defining our chunks with primary asset labels. Right, so what's a primary asset label? Well, it's a seed file that is created to mark referenced assets as part of this primary asset. So kind of what that means is it dictates to the engine when building that things are part of it, and it, in this case, is chunks. In our case, chunk ID 4 here. And so what this will do is like you'll have, your folder and it's got all this content in it, blah, 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 right? And you've got your primary asset label and it's chunk 4, like here, right? And so when you build, all of this will be marked with chunk 4 without having to go in and manually do each asset, so long as you have this label assets in my directory enabled. Another thing you can do is you can apply it recursively so that it goes into all the subfolders, but then for that you would need the subfolders to exist, and in this little example here I don't have any. The primary asset label combines with a primary data asset, which serves to let the controller know about the DLC content. I have here a map that puts sequences to try codes for that sequence, right? So all these sequences here on the right are mapped to a try code on the left here. And all of this here is defined inside of this child of a primary data asset. You can see here, it's a child of U primary data asset. This here is how the content is organized. Anything not inside a folder with one of these primary asset labels, which I've called DLC underscore name chunk, right? Waterland, Conestoga. Anything not inside one of those folders is just part of this base data here, right? And then, like I said, this is part of a chunk with all of its custom content. It goes into DLC1, different folder, different primary asset label, DLC2, and so on, right? Just to showcase how the DLC is loaded, I have here my slightly roundabout way of doing that. So on the master level controller, where all of these sequences go, you have the load DLC function, which is run at the startup, and it grabs all of the soft class top level asset path assets by class of the DLC primary data asset that I created, which I spelled wrong there. And for each one of them, it casts and it grabs all of the adder class blueprints. But what it really should be doing is this here. Once it grabs this asset data, it should be looking to grab the keys and just add them to the sequence mappings, as well as to a list of DLC try codes for easier access on a menu. And then just to wrap that up here, this is what it would look like when you build, right? You've got your chunk 0 and your chunk 0 optional, but that's all, that's almost a gigabyte, over a gigabyte together. And then you have the two DLCs here. One is chunk 4, like we said, and then the other one is chunk 5. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching.